Don't question my leadership.
Mayor Brandon Johnson goes on the defensive over how he's handled the migrant crisis.
What we see across the city of Chicago is that they're getting access to, they're getting up to $9,000.
What's going on, crew? Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time here, you are watching The Maverick Conservative, where I actually give commentary on politics and react to pop culture and more. Now, crew, you already know what to do. But for the new viewers, I'm going to ask if you could ever be so kind as to drop a token in the tip cup by smashing that like button. It's the only way we're able to fuel the journey, and your support means the world to me. Now, let's go ahead and get into the news. Have you guys seen this? Black Chicago Democrats sue city over migrant crisis. A coalition of Black Chicago Democrats is suing the city government for placing migrant facilities in their neighborhoods. For the past year, anger has been mounting in Black communities across Chicago as residents watch resources they say they desperately need to go to newly arrived migrants instead. Olivia Ringgold of the Free Press said in a video posted on X, formerly known as Twitter. Can we just start calling it X now? I mean, everybody knows that it used to be Twitter. There's no reason to keep saying that. It goes on to say, West Side Chicago residents Kata Truss, if I'm saying her name right, please let me know in the comments, describe her current feelings as buyer's remorse. I support Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, said the Black Democrat and mother of 5 sons. I feel like a fool right now. Well, I'm going to tell you, Ms. Truss, this is the perfect example of you get what you vote for. You get what you vote for. You knew what he was when he was running for office. You knew you were getting another Lightfoot, right? Someone is involved in the same things, but you were so hell-bent on vote blue no matter who. You wound up with Johnson. This is what you get. You can't slap us in the face by ignoring us today, but we're punching you in the face by ignoring you at the polling places tomorrow. Glad to see that you're finally waking up. Ringgold later recounted, last fall when the city told Truss that her beloved local park was going to become a migrant shelter, she essentially said, not on my watch. Take a look.
Kata, thank you so much for being here. This shelter is a no-go. You and your neighbors made this happen. Just tell us what's going on with the shelter.
Well, right now, it's actually a Chicago Park District facility. And currently, the Park District facility is now up and running. Services are now going on. The children are back in the park. The senior citizens who have come to rely on that park for socialization and just being able to get back together after having gone through COVID are now able to come back to the park.
So, Kata, is there a level of betrayal when you have, you know, your park and your community center, and the leaders that were elected to represent you take that and give it to people who aren't from your community, that came across the southern border? Is there a level of betrayal in that?
Absolutely, there's a level of betrayal.
Well, first of all, of course, there's a level of betrayal because there was no forethought, no planning into this. And I have to really say that if Mayor Brandon Johnson had just picked up the phone and called the community.
Let me stop right here for a second. Black people, listen. You were not going to get a phone call from your Democratic elected official. They do not care. Once they get your vote, they're gone. Your vote is now irrelevant because I already have it. This is the way they feel, right? So whatever I promised you, we'll get them next year. Just keep voting for me like a good little Negro. Just keep voting for me, right? You weren't going to get a phone call, sis. So let's cut that out. Stop it. Stop it. You know now, though. You know now.
That he comes from to ask us if that's something that he should be considering, we would have told him absolutely not. We would have told him that that is something that is not going to fly with the people here in this community. You know, we are very dedicated to our parks and to our community. And so that was just something we were not going to go for. Also, the fact is that you are going to attempt to take over the park and not talk to the people, not come to the people, not offer any kinds of suggestions to help the people or to alleviate the stress of what's already going on in a blighted and disinvested in community, and to say to us, hey, listen, we got these migrants here. We need someplace.
Illegal immigrants.
To put them, and we're going to just take your park. The people here in this community said absolutely not. I went to a meeting with the aldermen, the community, and we came together after the meeting was over, and it was evident that the city had intentions to do this no matter what the people said. I got up the next day, and one of my neighbors went with me. We went down to the Circuit Court of Cook County, and we filed a motion to stop this from happening.
Stop all that marching and get
Kato,
the
what
action.
you and your neighbors have experienced and are experiencing is being felt by people across this country, small towns and big cities. And what do you say to President Biden and quite frankly, the people who have opened the border?
You didn't ask me, but I'm glad you asked. Listen, Biden, anybody else who you vote for Biden, I'm telling you, it's over for you, brother. It's over. Black folks are leaving the Democratic Party, right? For women, it's a lot slower than we would hope for. Republican parties made a lot of inroads with the brothers, black men, men of color, as the Democrats would say. But your time is just about over with, man. Black folks are tired of you making false promises. Getting elected and not delivering on what you got elected for. It's over. It's over. Anyway, let's see what she got to say.
And have let this happen to communities from sea to shining sea.
Well, what I say to President Biden and the entire Democratic Party is that you have missed the mark with this.
There we go.
And you have lost some very committed voters. I myself will be voting Republican. And
there it is. There it is right there. There it is right there. I told you, right? The black folks are waking up a lot slower than I wanted them to, but they're waking up. Excuse me, I can't even talk. The Democratic formula is you knock them in the head, you give them a headache, and then you sell them an aspirin. You give them hope, right? You sell them hopelessness, and then you give them hope by promising that things will be better if you vote for me. And then after you vote for me, I give you the same thing. It's over for the Democratic Party, right? It's over. All you're going to have is the alphabet community and illegal immigrants. That's it. Because best believe they're trying to figure out a way to get them to be able to vote legally. Best believe.
In this upcoming election, I have just made up in my mind that this crisis taught me that the Democratic Party will continue to take the voices of the voters for granted.
That's what they've always done.
I reached out to every elected official that represents us in this area to sit down and have a conversation about what was happening. And my phone calls went unanswered. No meetings took place. No elected officials stood up or stood with us to fight with us.
That's because they don't care, sis. They don't care. Let you have been part of the alphabet community, or your name had an asterisk next to your gender. They would have cared then.
And even after having gone to City Hall with hundreds of people saying, listen, this is not working. We need to end Chicago's sanctuary city status, at least until we have a hold on what's happening here.
Okay, now you lost me, sis. Now you lost me. Not until you have a hold on anything, right? Not until you have a hold on anything. See, the thing is this: you cannot support or put a network in place for people who don't belong here in the first place. There are plenty of legal immigrants, people who waited in line, who did everything that they were supposed to do. They jumped through all of the hoops in order to come to this country legally and then obtain their American citizenship. Welcome to the country, prosperity to you and your family. But for those of you who want to skip the line, claiming economic asylum, right? There's no such thing. There's no such thing. If your country is in turmoil, I can't speak today, man. If your country is in turmoil, you were supposed to go to the next safe country, and that's where you set up shop. You were coming here because America is the house on the shiny hill. I get it. I understand. But you know what? You're going to have to get in line. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Here, at least until we have found a place for the migrants who have already come. And that was back in October. And so buses are still arriving. We are now at 33,000 migrants that have embraced themselves in the city of Chicago. And we really have no means to take care of them. We don't have an adequate place for those people to stay. And so to continue to have them come here, to me, just does not make any sense. And so when you say that to both local government as well as the President Biden, and no one is listening. You know, we the people have to say, well, you know what? If you're not going to listen to us, then we're going to need to take our votes elsewhere.
And they're not the only ones that's going to be taking their vote elsewhere. Watch this.
You know, the governor of Texas didn't call Chicago a sanctuary city. The mayor called Chicago a sanctuary city. The mayor allowed illegal migrants to come in here and pay them with taxpayer dollars. You know, the thing about it is, our mayor has no plan now. He's having panic attacks.
I did hear about that. Did you guys hear about that? That Brandon Johnson, Mayor Johnson, is actually having panic attacks right now. I think this happened a couple of days ago, allegedly or apparently because he can't handle the stress of the job, because all of the residents are on his neck right now. All right, because of the poor decision he made to, him and Lightfoot actually labeling Chicago as a sanctuary city.
We need to actually recall the mayor.
My next guests are Chicago Democrats and are joining the chorus saying enough is enough. After a building in their South Side neighborhood intended to be used as a community center is now being designated as a new shelter for migrants. Joining us right now, Natasha Dunn and her neighbor, 24-year veteran of the military, Jay Darnell Jones. She's an education activist. He's now a DEI consultant, and they're both co-plaintiffs in the lawsuit against the city of Chicago. Welcome to both of you. Natasha, what was your breaking point?
So my breaking point was when the city of Chicago, in a short notice under Mayor Lori Lightfoot, gave us a notice within 2 days that they were going to hold a community meeting to use our former closed high school as migrant housing. We had already noticed that in Woodlawn, they had started the process by using a closed school, and that situation was a complete failure, catastrophic failure. The community was not allowed to have any input in it. They did fight back against it, but the mayor decided to go along with it. So we knew that when we got that notice to the...
See, here's the thing, right? So this happened when Lightfoot was in office. This is what I'm talking about. What made you think anything was going to change when you voted another Democratic leader in the office? You knew what it was with Lightfoot. You knew what it was for the past couple of how many mayorships that Chicago has had. I'm an amateur in Chicago politics, but you knew this, and you went ahead and voted for another Democrat to do the same thing. It's just spit in your face. They said, screw y'all. It's basically what happened. They don't care about you. But you know what I bet is going to happen? Crew, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. After this brother's out of office, I bet you're going to vote another Democrat in the office, and the cycle's going to continue. Folks, they don't care about you. Stop voting for Democratic leadership. Look at the cities that we typically come from. The Democrats don't care. But this right here, sis, this is your fault. You did this to yourself.
Meeting, I specifically knew that there was nothing left to do than to file a lawsuit to stop this from happening, because we realized that they weren't going to listen.
So, Jay Darnell, you're a lawyer. When did you realize legal action was your only way?
Well, we know that historically, Black communities are expected to protest and march and not do anything that's really going to impact the decisions. So at that point, we knew that taking legal action was our only course.
So you are taking legal action. Can you describe the services that the illegal migrants are getting as opposed to what the people of the city need? Do you want to start, Natasha? What are you seeing that they're getting that's really getting under your skin?
Yeah, and let me be clear. We were able to stop the city from putting the migrants in the school building. So they're not
well, there you go.
in our school building here in the city of Chicago. We were successful in that aspect. But what we see across the city of Chicago is that they're getting access to, they're getting up to $9,000 in funding. They're getting access. They're getting rental assistance. They're getting support, free childcare, free transportation.
Wow.
And what...
That's crazy, because all of this is actually coming off of the Chicago taxpayer dime. Now, from what I understand, there's other things that they wanted to do with that building, and they were repeatedly told, no, they can't. Either they didn't have the permission, in addition to they didn't have the resources. So now all of a sudden, right, there's money available, and they got permission to open up that building to do other things. But fortunately, they were able to stop these actions, right? This is good.
with the housing situation, we're noticing now the city of Chicago has been scrambling to really find places for them to go. So they're making deals with landowners. And the problem with that is that in the Black community, there's a lot of absent landowners, and they've left dilapidated properties in our neighborhoods. We have fought for years to try to get those dilapidated properties to come back into the community. And now all of a sudden, now that there's this money falling from out the sky for migrants, these landowners are now using the money to renovate, to allow migrants to get in. Let me give you an example. This one landowner in South Shore has a 8-unit building, designated 8-unit building. This man was allowed by the city of Chicago to turn this 8-unit building into a bed for 69 migrants.
Wow.
And he's already have a history of being a slum landlord. So we're now beginning to see that they're prioritizing migrants.
They're prioritizing it because they're about to get that government check. They're about to get that government check. As I'm empathetic to what you guys are going through, but at the same time, I'm like, you brought this on yourself.
In housing, and then also utilizing land that really should be renovated and brought back into the community for community use.
Yeah, Jay Darnell, real quick, what's your message to the president out there and the mayor? Because the worst is yet to come. We have reporters on the border every day. It is falling apart. What is your message to the people who allowed this to happen?
My message is, first of all, is that I don't believe one political party is any better than the other in terms of making sure that the needs of Black people specifically are being met.
It ain't getting done with the Democratic Party, brother. It's not getting done with the Democratic Party.
We know that because there's been a history of asking and not receiving.
Hold on, I got to stop this one more time. This is the stuff I'm talking about, right? This is an educated brother. He's a lawyer from what I understand, but the ignorance, we've been asking and asking. You've been asking the Democratic leadership that you keep electing into office, and you keep asking and not getting anything in return. Brother, like Trump said, what do you have to lose? Leave the party. They don't care.
Anything, regardless of who you voted for. However, I do believe that this immigration issue is just one more bit of evidence to show that this is about, this is about corporate interests. This is not about us. And they will do anything they need to do and want to do to ensure those interests are met, not ours.
All right, guys, that's all I got for this segment. If you enjoyed this type of content and you want to see more like it, make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment on this video. Most importantly, make sure you share this video. It's the only way I know that we can get YouTube's algorithm to push this content out to other like-minded individuals. So until I see you on the next couple of videos, I am gone.